Hello everyone, welcome back to another lesson of constructing Arabic sentences. This is lesson number 12. In today's lesson we're going to learn something in Arabic that's called شبه الجملة. شبه الجملة is the closest thing that I actually can find in English that can describe this is called a prepositional phrase. A prepositional phrase. So like saying in the house, at the airport, on the table. شبه الجملة means, or literally can translate to, the semi-sentence. What does that mean? It means that the sentence that it creates is not complete in meaning, but kind of creates a sentence. So you just say in the house. So someone would ask you, for example, where's the book? You say in the house or on the table. It's not really a sentence, but it gives the meaning that you need to deliver, right? So this is a prepositional phrase, and it has a special grammatical, well, it has its own grammar subject and all of this stuff in Arabic, and I'm not gonna go through the grammar, the exact grammar, but I'm just gonna explain in general an overview. By the way, this lesson is mainly an overview. We're not going to have a lot of examples. The examples will come in the next lesson with examples for the previous lessons lesson also. So basically, I'm going to combine this lesson and lesson 11 and make one big example lesson, if you want to call that, like a lesson filled with examples in constructing Arabic sentences, lesson number 13, which will come later. I don't know when, but in the future. Now, so again, this is an overview, right? So, an overview about شبه الجملة in Arabic grammar. So I'm going just to explain something very in a very abstract way. I don't want to go in details. I don't want to confuse you, but شبه الجملة in Arabic, a prepositional phrase, is divided in Arabic into two types. One is called jar and majrur. So, and the other is called ظرف الزمان والمكان. What does that mean? That's Arabic. Gibberish to us, right? That's what it's saying. So let me just explain briefly. Jar and majrur. These are words that whenever you put this word, the next word will have kasra. And this one we call harful jar. Okay? So jar in Arabic grammar means to make a word end with kasra. Harful jar is the letter or the word in English that causes this. And these are the set of words. Most of them, or actually all of them, are prepositions. And you might want to memorize these because these don't change. So harful jar in grammar, in Arabic grammar, never change. So whenever they come, the next word has to have, or let's say, the next word must end with kasra. Okay? An example of these is like these ones. So I'm going to read them. Min, ila, an, ala. The prefix ba, the prefix ka, the prefix la, hatta, mundu. Okay, and there might be one or two missing here, but these are the famous ones. These are everything. Once you memorize this, whenever we're reading, their alamat tashkil doesn't change. The word after them has to have kasra at the end, or a form of kasra, of course, depending on what is that word or how is it constructed grammatically, which I'm not gonna talk about right now, but a form of kasra. So this is about jar majrur. What about the next group? The other group is ظرف الزمان والمكان. These are words that indicate either time or place. Example, if you're gonna say when something is gonna happen, when. That's a preposition and describes time. In Arabic, حين does this job. Now, ظرف الزمان والمكان, whatever comes after them also has to have كسرة then, but for a different reason. For جار مجرور, it's just because. For ظرف الزمان والمكان, it's because this word becomes like the owner of the next word. So if you go to the previous lesson, actually the opposite. If you go to the previous lesson, you would see an example. For example, كتاب الطالب, right? So الطالب owns كتاب, الطالب ends with كسرة. ظرف الزمان والمكان does the same thing. For example, if I say عند الباب, at the door, it's a location word. عند الباب. So this word kind of grammatically owns this word, and it ends up with kasra. Never mind, I'm not gonna bother teaching you grammar. This is not what we're here for. But I just wanna introduce to you شبه الجملة and what are the two main groups. Okay, and the main difference is that here the set is fixed. That's it. This is all the words that come as jar or majrur, while these words are endless. So any word that would describe time is ظرف زمان. Any word that would describe a place is ظرف مكان. So for example, what do I mean by describing time? So for example, the word now, okay, the word when, the word at a certain clock or at a certain time, okay, the word minute, the word second, okay, the word day. While if I'm going to talk about places, the word, for example, above, فوق, the word تحت, the word at, when you're talking about at a location, at the door, for example, the word with, okay, or most of them are, actually, I think most of them are prepositions in English, but maybe not all of them. Okay, so for example, if I'm gonna say something is above something, maybe above is not a preposition. I'm not really sure about my English grammar, but anyway, the closest thing for this grammatical thing is prepositional phrases. Today we're going to focus only on this group, maybe few selected ones from this group, okay, but mainly on these. And the main idea of this lesson is to learn how to use Arabic prepositions. If you've been learning languages, you know that prepositions are not used in the same way in different languages. So we'll see. So how does it go? So for example, let's start with min, the word min. Min can mean one of two things. Mostly it's from. Could also mean of, in the sense of something is made out of. So in this sense, if I say that something is made out of wood, I would say in Arabic min خشب. صنع من خشب, made out of wood. Okay, so this sense min means of or out of. Okay, but the most of the time it means from. So if I'm going to say that I took an apple from a basket of apples, I would use min. Okay, so to indicate that I took something from a certain location. Also, if I want to say that I'm going from one location to another location, I would use min. Min bayti, from my house. Min. You see the sense of min now. The other thing is when you're talking about time, so you want to say that the store or the event takes place from this time to that time. When you say from this time, you use min. Good? All right. Now, the opposite to min is ila. So ila mainly means to. Right. So, for example, you said that you went from your house, min bayti, ila. What's the destination? The destination is described with ila. Ila baytihi, to his house. Ila. Also, if you're gonna say from this time to a certain other time, you'd say min ila. Okay? Min الساعة إلى الساعة. From something o'clock to something o'clock. From my house to his house. So these are kind of straightforward. Kind of. Okay? Now, let's get a bit more complicated and go to عن. So how do you use عن? عن can also mean from, and can also mean according to. So if you're taking information from a source, okay, or you want to say that this information is according to someone, you would use عن. Okay, a famous sentence is نقلا عن, quoted from. This is used a lot in news blogs or newscasts, according to. نقلا عن. See, if I ever wrote عن like that, you would know how to pronounce it. It's always the same. عن. Another thing is like when you take something off something. So عن can also mean off. So you took, for example, an object off the table. You'd say عن الطاولة. It could also mean if you take something away. This is actually the general one. It's like if you want to take, saying that you took something away from something, you'd say عن. And when I say away, I mean like physically distance, a physical distance. So for example, if there's a box and something was attached to it and you removed it, you'd use عن. Okay, so for example, you took this عن the box. You took this object عن. Okay, this is how you use عن. Of course, I'm not gonna give you the Arabic translation. It's just gonna make things worse. It will come hopefully in the next lesson or lessons, because I guess the next lesson will be very long. Okay. So this is all for عن. Next would be على. So this next one, or maybe let me go to a simpler one before going into the more complicated ones. And let's take حتى and منذ. Or maybe the opposite is better. منذ حتى. Alright, so what does منذ means? منذ means since. And that it doesn't mean since that means because. So it means since the time. Okay, since that time. This is where منذ. So for example, you want to say, I knew how to write since I was 10. So we'd say منذ كنت, or منذ كان عمري, more easier. منذ is easier. منذ كان عمري, since my age was. Again, I don't want to give a lot of examples. So منذ means since. It's pretty straightforward actually, but just don't confuse it with the since that means because. Okay, this is like more of a sense of the time period. And the opposite is حتى. حتى. So that would be until or till. So if you want to say since then, till then, you would say منذ حتى. An example, maybe this is very straightforward. I would say from now, منذ الآن حتى غد. From now till tomorrow. All right, now منذ حتى, that's very easy, since until. Okay, so starting from, ending to. منذ حتى, since until. Okay, I hope you get this sense of meaning for these two prepositions. Next, we're going to be using more complicated ones. No, let's start with a simpler one. Okay, so in Arabic, the use of a prefix, for example, for this one is ka. In Arabic, is very common to say, for example, that someone is like a lion. It means that he's brave, he's courageous, he's strong, all of that things. It doesn't mean that he's physically like a lion. It could mean that, but this is what we kind of use for to have kind of a metaphor. Okay, so you would use ka. So for example, I want to say that very famous example, أحمد كالأسد. Ahmad is like a lion. So ka means like. Doesn't mean like in the sense of love. It means like in the sense of likeness or likelihood, if that's the correct word. So if something resembles resemblance, or however you spell it, if something resembles something else, you'd say this thing ka, the other thing. Okay, so object 1 is like object 2. In Arabic, you just add ka before the object that you want to say that it's like. So for example, like I said here, Ahmed which means Ahmed, a person, a guy, is like a lion. كالأسد. Okay, you can think of more feminine examples, but like I said, this lesson is not about examples, it's about just giving you the general overview of these prepositions and how we use them in Arabic. Alright, so now we're going to be going more to the complicated ones that are not straightforward. So the tough part starts now. The word ala. Oh, before I go on, I forgot. If I say min who? Okay, so if you say min, that's from. If you say minhu, say from him. So you can attach prefixes, you can attach suffix pronouns to these prepositions, most of them. Okay, so for example, min, you can say minhu. Ila, you can say ilayhi, to him. And you can experiment with all the other attachable pronouns that we learned in the previous lesson. Also, there's one meaning for an that I forgot. If you say anhu, no, actually, I actually said it. Anhu, according to him. Okay, according to him. Anhu. But here I attached the pronoun for he, so according to him. Right, so I just wanted to show that you can attach pronouns to these words. منذ and حتى, you cannot attach anything to them. So you cannot say منذه or منذها. You cannot say حتها or حته. Okay, so منذ and حتى cannot. But min, إلى, عن can take this. حتى, منذ, ك. You cannot just attach something. You cannot just attach one of the pronouns, the attachable pronouns to it. All right. Next, the tough part. So let's start with the ala. All right, this is gonna be one long lesson. Ala. How do you use ala? Ala means on or on top of. Well, actually, it most means on. So if an object is on something, okay, we would say that this is على الطاولة. So here's for example, a ball is on the table. You say الكرة على الطاولة. That's one meaning. Another meaning is when we're talking about debt or when we're talking about rights. Okay, so I can say that someone has debt on him. This is how I say it in Arabic. And I say دين عليه. So it's something that is against him. Also, if you're talking about a right, you can say حق, which means a right, عليه. So it's a right imposed on him, a right that he has to do. He has to fulfill. The same thing if you want to say that he did something wrong. So he's the owner of a mistake. So you'd say خطأ عليه, for example. Especially if you're talking about games and soccer games, for example, or whatever sport game. So say خطأ على اللاعب الفلاني. A foul has been uh, given to a certain person. So this is how you use ala. Okay, and ala can attach, as you see here, can be attached to the pronouns, the attachable pronouns. So حق عليه, دين عليه, خطأ عليه, all these stuff. Also, if you say هدف عليه, which means a goal on him, meaning that they scored on him. So these are all ways of using ala. Another way of using ala is when you say that someone is on board a plane, for example. You would say ala matn, or just ala. Okay, you can ignore mat. So you can say ala الطائرة, on board a plane, or ala matn الطائرة. Okay. One more example is that sometimes if you want to say that someone is a boss on top of other people, well, when I say on top, is not physically, but management wise, he's on top. So you say ra'isun, for example, like a boss. Ra'isun alayhim, a boss on them. Right? Okay, now, what's the opposite of ala, which is also a complicated topic? It's la. And this could be la or li, depending on what meaning it has. So let's start with la, which we actually looked at in the previous lesson. When you say li, or lahu, laha, which means a possession, someone who's owns something, you would say lahu means for him. So li means for. So you can say that in Arabic, on and for are opposite. It doesn't work like that in English, but that's how it is in Arabic. So ala and li is opposite. So in what sense? It's not in the sense of location wise. So whenever we're talking about an object as ala الطاولة, as on a table or on a something, you cannot use you cannot like go with the opposite of that and use li. This only works with ala, but it works with other stuff, like when you're saying that he has debt on him, he has rights on him, he has a foul on him, he has a goal on him, he has a boss on him. Then the opposite is for. So in this sense, you can say that he has a debt for him. So daynun lahu. So it's like there's a debt for someone else. Someone else owns him something. Daynun. Oops. Daynun lahu. Khata'un lahu. When you say khata'un lahu in a game, for example, that means that someone committed a foul against him. So he has the right now. So haqqun lahu, khata'un lahu. The same thing if you say that hadafun lahu, so it means that he scored that goal. So hadafun lahu. Okay. In the term of boss employee, you would say that they are employees for him. They're working for him. So you'd say they are موظفون له. Okay, so this is the la that is opposite of ala. Now there's other meanings for this for la, and that is, for example, what we discussed now is for, but what we can also discuss is to own something. That's another sense. You can also apply it here. So for example, like in the previous lesson when we said kitabun laka, a book for you, or kitabun, or let's say another word that's qalamun, which means a pen or a pencil. li, and you can put any name here. For example, li Abbas. Okay. قلم li, and you say whatever name. Fulan. So this li means it gives the meaning of that person owns the pen. Okay. Another meaning that this lam, which is a prefix to a word, can have is to cause. Okay, so we call it lam as-sababiyya, the lam that is attached to a cause. An example would clarify that. I study to succeed. Okay, so for example, أدرس لأنجح. So when you say I study to succeed, so la can mean to, which has the meaning of a purpose, like purpose with a U. So so this is the third meaning of li. Now, the other thing is if you're saying li can actually mean or can also work as to as a location. So for when we said ila, li can actually work. So for example, min al-bayt ila suq, right? That's how we said min ila. Or you can also say min li. For example, min al-bayt ila or li للسوق. للسوق. Now there's something, maybe this needs more space to be clarified. When li comes with al, you remove this alif and it becomes like this. It's very, very common. Very, very common. So for example, you say that yes, I want to say that this candy is for the child. So I say الحلوى للطفل. Okay, so you see here, this is a combination of these. Now, another thing is this li can come with this lam can come in expressions. I know this is getting a bit messy, but again, this is just an overview. So it can come with expressions, and these expressions, let's say one of the famous one is saying, "Oh wow, that's awesome," right? This is how I say it in English. In Arabic, you can hear it or you can read it as Ya lal rawa. Ya lal rawa. And this is the lamb that we're talking about. Okay, so this is another use for this la. So you see, it's really not clear. It's not like how it works in English. It has several meanings. So this is for li. It's a lot. Now, okay, the next one is very important, is fi, which means in. It's literally like the only way I can think of fi is the meaning of in. Whenever something is inside, physically inside, that's when we say fi. It also means if it's inside a period of time. Okay, so whenever something is inside something, you use في. For example, if you want to say that I am inside the house, so I'm in the house, you say أنا في البيت. When you want to say that I am at the airport, what do you mean at the airport? If you were just outside of the airport, you would say عند, which I'm gonna use later on. But if you are actually physically inside the airport, you should say in Arabic أنا في المطار. So في describes that you are inside a location. This is also true if you want to say that something is inside a box, for example, or inside whatever. So الكرة في الصندوق. Cool. So I think في is very clear, but just في is just in Arabic whenever you think of something inside something else. You can also, like I said, you say في a certain time. So inside the yes, for example, if you want to say that, I think in English you say this also, in the 12th century, right? So في القرن الثاني عشر, we say في. So this is when I say في can also mean inside a certain period of time. Okay, we have one more, actually two more. Yes, and we're done. Okay, so the next one is B. Okay, and we call it باء السببية. Okay, which means the causal B. You'll see why. But in English, it actually translates. Oh, did I say باء السببية? Maybe I'm wrong. Anyway, what B translates to is using, or replacing, or it could also mean in, which is equals to في. And the other thing is like you swear using the B. And when I say swear, it's not saying curse words. It's about swearing by an oath or whatever. Okay. So, well, okay. So let's start with the first one, using. So when I say I eat using a spoon. Of course, in English you don't say that. I say I eat with a spoon, right? But what you actually mean is that you're using a spoon to eat, and that's in Arabic you would use B. So أنا آكل بالملعقة. Okay, of course I'm not like I said, this is not an example lesson, so it's more of an overview. Next, what if I want to say that you made a pie using a main ingredient? So for example, if you have a main ingredient of something, let's say a pie of apples, right? So an apple pie, you would say فطيرة بالتفاح. So that means that this pie has apples. Of course, if you say apple pie, you say فطيرة التفاح. Okay, but just to give you an example of using B, to describe something that is a main ingredient. So maybe if you go to any of the famous Middle Eastern countries, you might want to eat what is famous, and there's فطيرة بالجبن. Okay, so it's a cheese sandwich, kind of sandwich. It's like more a pie. That's why we call it فطيرة. Okay. So what about using be to say in? So inside something. So let's say I'm inside the market. So I can say في السوق, and I can also say بالسوق. But في is more clear because بالسوق, that means using the market. Sometimes, so people can confuse. But you can use be to describe that you are inside a location. Okay, another thing with what the meaning of replacing. So let's say I replaced a pen with a pen. Arabs would say قلما بقلم. A pen for a pen. Okay. The famous saying العين بالعين, an eye for an eye, right? You say an eye for an eye. But in Arabic العين بالعين. So in this sense, in this sentence, be came in the sense for, which actually is more of a replacing something. Okay. And the last thing about be is when you're swearing. So old Arabs, for example, would say, or even Arabs these times would say أقسم, I swear by. When you say I swear by, in Arabic it's أقسم بي. It translates to I swear by. So this by is equivalent to be, and I swear is أقسم. Cool. Okay. Right. So last thing is be can get attached to one of the pronouns, attachable pronouns. So when I say bihi, okay, it's with him. But it doesn't mean that you are with him. It's like you are using him. So for example, if this him that you're referring to is the pencil, so you can say أكتب به. Okay, so someone might ask you, what are you doing with this pencil? And you can reply in Arabic, أكتب به. I write with it. Okay. So now, the last thing that with this we have finished أحرف الجر. But I want to just use عند and مع, because these are famous and these are actually belong to the other set, but it's good to, I mean, they're famous prepositions, so I should cover them. عند مع. عند means at. It means that you are at a place, but it doesn't mean that you are inside a place. So for example, you are next to a booth, you are عند whatever that is. Okay, so if you're at the door, you say أنا عند الباب. عند الباب. If you want to say that at a specific time, so let's say at dawn, you'd say عند الفجر. عند الفجر. Okay, now مع usually means with. Actually, it means most of the time, 99%, it means with. So if I say I am with him, we're together, you say معه. Or if you're talking about a female, you say معها. And of course, you can extrapolate that to all the other pronouns. So مع الطالب, with the student. Okay? Last one is حين. Although it's not, well, yeah, okay. So if I use حين, it could mean when. Actually, it means when. So for example, when I wake up, حين أستيقظ. حين أستيقظ. حين, when I wake up, when I do, whenever. So you say when, you would use حين. All right, so this took long enough, and I hope you've learned something. Of course, this is again an overview. If you're still confused, you can come to Facebook, right, and ask me a question. I prefer the questions to be posted directly to the page and not directly messaged to me, just because I would like most of the people to participate. So Facebook page is facebook.com/homelang1. Right, you can also leave your comments, of course, here on YouTube. It's just slower for me to answer because I don't check it every day. And lastly, I would like to thank you for your time and for your interest in Arabic and all of that, blah blah blah. Thank you for watching. Until next lesson, see you.